Welcome to Talk Spicy to Me, a podcast where two best-selling authors go rogue and talk all things romance, the good, the bad, and the unbearably hot, and everything in between. I'm one of your hosts, Giana Darling, lover of poetic prose, morally gray men, and steam hot enough to melt your Kindle.
And I'm Kandi Steiner, writer of emotional roller coasters, angsty love stories, and whiskey-soaked heartbreak that will ruin your life in the best way. Together, we are peeling back the sheets on the romance world, from sharing behind-the-scenes writing stories and debunking industry myths to swooning over our favorite spicy reads and messy book boyfriends.
So grab your favorite beverage, climb into your cozy reading nook, and settle in.
It's about to get spicy. Hi. We're here. Episode 1. Can you believe
I can't believe
this?
it. No,
I am
honestly.
so stoked. I feel like we've been counting down to this for years, even though it's really been like months.
Well, and it's funny because I just floated the idea to you so casually and kind of randomly one day. And it was like, as soon as that hit, we knew, okay, yeah, we're both into this. Let's go. And we just charged forth. It hasn't even been that long since we first talked about it.
No, it hasn't. I feel like it's been a couple months since you mentioned it. We were like, okay, we're going to the same signing. Let's talk about it while we're there. And we walked away with all these ideas between the two of us and came home and immediately put a plan to work. And now here we are recording.
I feel like that's who we are, though, as people, too. It's like we have an idea, and especially if we're excited about it, it's off to the races.
100%. As soon as we put our mind to something, we're going all in, which
Yes.
is what I love. That's what I love about this, though. And this was the whole reason why we were like, we should do a podcast, or Giana actually said to me, we should do a podcast, because every time we get together and every time we have done an Instagram live or any sort of situation where we've been on a panel together, we just chat like we are best friends and have been forever. And we have gotten so close over the years, and we know so much about each other, but there's also so much about you that I don't know that I'm really excited to get to dive into on the show.
Well, this is like no holes barred, right? So I think we'll know stuff about each other by the end of this that will be very deep and meaningful. Also some very random things probably, because I'll be honest, we do go on tangents sometimes, and we're willing to do that.
Yeah, no, I love that we have like an idea of what the subjects are of each of these episodes, but I would bet my paycheck that we go off and that we have to end up changing the title, because it's going to be about completely different things. But that's what makes it so great. It's just like us talking and having a conversation, which I love. And I know we also talked a little bit about, we're kind of excited to talk about things like our hot takes, or like things that are sort of controversial that we typically keep a tight lip about. We don't really like post about things. We're not really out there like being super loud about how we feel and what we believe. But I think we've both finally gotten to a point in our career where we're like, you know what, if we do a podcast, I would be willing to kind of skate into that territory and talk about some stuff, because I would be able to say how I feel in a more like nuanced way.
Well, and I think the whole idea is it's talked spicy to me, and that whole concept has to be a safe space. So this is a safe space. Our friendship has always been a safe space to talk about whatever it is that's going on in our lives, in our careers. And now we're kind of extending that safe space to our readers. Like, you can come here, have these conversations with us. You know, we want to know what our readers are thinking, what our listeners are thinking as well. And it's all about respect and basic human decency, giving everyone that respect while we all have differing opinions. And I think operating in that way, it's going to be really fun to talk about some of our spicy takes on things.
I do too. And I do think there is like you said, a safe space, room to grow, right? Like if I talk to you about something that I'm feeling and you educate me, I'm going to feel so like accepting of that, because I don't feel like I'm under attack. And I love to learn. I mean, especially in this industry, I have learned so much from the beginning of time to now. And I have gone back and made changes in my older books. I have, I make changes moving forward with some of the choices that I make. And I think that's part of not just writing growth, but human growth. Like, I'm not going to pretend that at 35 years old, I know everything that I need to know in life. Like, that's not the way it works.
Well, and I think that's both of us, we're high learners. I think we love to learn and grow. And so that's also why we have these wonderful conversations, because we'll ask a question, we'll be like, let's look it up. Let's figure this out.
Totally.
Let's talk about it and see how we feel about it. And having that, I mean, it's why our conversations never end, because we have question upon question. And I think in this industry, in order to succeed, you have to have that ability to learn and grow because things change so quickly.
So quickly. I've always said like adapt or die. I'm pretty sure Stacey Hart was the first person to say that to me, and it has just like stuck with me so hard because I truly think, and not just like in the industry practices, because that's a whole other story, but truly in as a writer, as a human being, like you have to have your ears open, your eyes open, and be constantly learning. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. Like if I was still stuck back in 2012 when I first started writing, are you kidding me? Think about how much has changed since 2012. I would not be alive.
I mean, we've even talked about this, but even the way, the structure of stories, the content of stories, the way that you market them, literally everything is different from the kind of the beginning surge of romance. And you started, what year did you start?
So I started writing in 2012, but I didn't publish my first book until 2013.
Okay. So my first book was 2016. So you were like right in that opening surge.
It was wild. It was
yeah,
like the
that
wild,
was like
wild
the Wild
West.
West. Yes,
It was.
yes, totally.
It was. Like when I talked to some people about the differences, like there were no YouTube channels with like how to get into KDP and upload things and figure those out. There was no Alessandra Torre inkers that where you could, or Melanie Harlow's group. There was no access to any of that sort of stuff to just go figure things out. I remember DMing Jillian Dodd, who I read her books, I loved her books, and she had done a reader retreat that I was at. So I wasn't like her friend by any means, but the door was open. And I was just very humble. Like, I am trying to figure this out. I have Googled and I am at a standstill. Can you help me through these various things? And bless her soul, she did. She, to this day, I think of her as one of the people that put their hand down and helped me step up the next rung on the ladder. And I wouldn't be here today without multiple women who did that. And then I hope to always pay that forward. And I know you do the same thing. It's like you get help, then you give help. And but it was completely different. Whereas now I'm pretty sure you can buy courses that are like, here's how to have a best-selling series, you know?
Yeah, I think the information is so much more readily available. I also think that the saturation is so much higher. Before it was like, the top romance authors were kind of the only ones doing it almost. Like it was just, readers couldn't read them fast enough. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, well I don't even know how many releases there are a day, but it's got to be thousands.
It's insane.
And so the scope is so different. And so the knowledge is more readily available. I guess the basic knowledge, but that higher knowledge, that higher level content is something that still needs to be passed down. It's kind of like an oral tradition. Like you have to be willing to make connections with people in order to get that kind of knowledge and feedback. And that's what's really cool about this industry is that there's always people willing to do that and kind of pay it forward.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. Okay. All right. I think we're going to get back into this as we talk about the meat of this episode, because this is the first episode. So Giana and I both want you to know a little bit about who you're listening to and who we are and sort of how we came together and then our journey in the industry. And so I think we're going to circle back to some of this. But before we get into that, we have a little segment that we like to start out with, and it's called the Spice Report. So every week we're going to have a spice report. Thinking about spicy salsas, you have mild, you have medium, and you have hot. And that's what we're going to talk about. The mild, medium, and hot things in our life. It doesn't have to necessarily be books. It can be a book we're reading. It can be a show we're watching. It can be a place that we traveled to. Something we're really loving in the world. Could be that it's springtime or fall or whatever, and the season is just really what we love to have. It could be anything. So there are no rules with mild, medium, and hot. It's just go for whatever the vibes are. So Giana, tell me this week, what's your mild, what's your medium, what's your hot?
Okay, my milds this week is that I'm rewatching One Tree Hill. And
I've never watched One Tree Hill.
Okay, I knew it. I was going to ask you, and I knew that you had never seen it, which is honestly devastating because you would love it so much. I can't tell you how much you would love it. It is so good. I mean, first of all, there's a couple that literally get married in high school. Like, that's what we need.
Peak drama.
It's peak drama. And
peak
there's,
drama.
It's classic. I feel like when we were kind of younger, these were the classic like TV heartthrobs. We're talking about Chad Michael Murray, okay?
I know, I do love him. I love Cinderella Story.
You have to. It's criminal that you have not watched it. And about 1 billion seasons. I think it's 10 seasons long. So you don't have to watch the last seasons. The first like 4 seasons are my favorite. And it basically has, if you were an author sitting down to write a story and you were just picking cliched plot points, you could mine One Tree Hill for the rest of your career. Like it has every single drama that has ever existed.
I'm going to be inspired. Okay.
It's so good. You have to watch it. So I'm rewatching it right now. And I will say
I've also heard that I need to watch Gossip Girl. So I started watching Gossip Girl. I think I got like 4 or 5, no, more than that, maybe like 6 or 7 episodes in. And I am really enjoying that, but I am very confused by everyone. Who is it that they tell me that I'm going to ship? It's like
Chuck Bass and Blair. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, Chuck, the creep?
No, I know.
Like, I can't. But maybe he has a really good turn. We'll see.
Okay, fun fact about Gossip Girl. The books are completely different than the TV show. They went on a totally different tangent. And so in the books, Chuck is kind of what Chuck is at the beginning of the show, which is kind of creepy, super eccentric. You don't really want to be within like 10 feet of him if you met him in real life. But they changed that over the course of the show. And it's really one of those. And you and I love a redemption arc. So there really is that component. So I do think you would like that part of it. But I'm telling you right now, there's no comparison to One Tree Hill. Like, you will love One Tree Hill so much more because it's sports, Kandi. They're on the basketball team. And it plays a huge role in the show. And I just think that it's got everything that you'd love. So that's my miles. And
you sold me.
It's necessary that you watch it, basically, for us to continue on.
Okay, done. All right, what is your medium?
Okay, my medium is that Morgan Wallen has a new album called I'm the Problem. And I know.
Is it on repeat?
Yes, it is. And you know,
I love his music.
I love his music. And I know that it's one of those things that's, controversial. I know he maybe doesn't seem like the best person in the world, but I do love his music. He's super problematic. And there's always that question, like, if, an artist is problematic, do you love should you support them, whatever. But I have to say, I really love his music.
I love his music too. And I do appreciate that he has sort of owned the stuff that he's done wrong.
As long as you're moving forward and trying to evolve and grow, then that's good. And owning your mistakes is the first step in that. And he 100%, does that. So.
100%. Well, and you and I both, we talk about this. We love a redemption arc. We also know that there's no in my opinion, there's no straight up evil bad guy out there. Like, every person was shaped by something that happened to them or whatever. And so I have a really hard time just passing judgment and being stone cold in that judgment and never changing my mind about a person. If you're going to show me that you're going to show up and grow, I'm listening. But also, if Morgan continues to show out and do things that I don't agree with, then maybe my tune about him will change. But I do love his music. I do love his music.
I know, I do too. And I think if it continues or it gets more egregious, then unfortunately, bye Morgan Wallen. But for the moment, I am hardly, and I didn't used to love country music. And then, this is a while ago now. As a teenager, it wasn't cool to love country music, I think. And then when I was in college, I started listening to it, and I'm a hardcore convert.
I love that. Yeah. I grew up on country music. I was an Okie, Oklahoma baby.
And there's lots of good musicians out of Oklahoma as well. And lots of good songs about Oklahoma.
Totally. Okay, what's your hot?
My hot take is a book that I read, and it is so good. It's so unbelievably perfect. I feel like I haven't shut up about it since I started reading it. But it's Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry.
Okay, I'm excited about this one. This is her
Kandi.
first step into romantasy.
Yes.
Do you think it's going to blow up? Do you predict it's going to blow up?
If it doesn't I would give up my paycheck if it to guarantee that it's going to blow up, because quite honestly, I was bereft when I finished it. And I am not the kind of person that gets in a reading slump. And I was in a reading slump for a few days of just trying to pick things up and not being able to. And of course, I wanted to continue to read fantasy after it. And I couldn't, because it was everything. It was so good. And I've read Daphne's contemporary, a number of her contemporary, and they're great. But I think this is next level. It's up there with a Crescent City, Sarah J. Maas, which is one of my the first book in that series is one of my favorite books ever, or Fourth Wing. It's just so addictive and good.
I was gonna say
Obsessed.
that's how I felt after I finished Fourth Wing. So you've already sold me.
You're gonna
I'm
love
ready
it.
to dive in, and I want more romantasy. Like I love that feeling. I wish that I had an idea for a romantasy, not to sell it. I don't even care if anybody
No.
else reads it, but I love the writing process, and I know you're the same way. I write what I like to read, and I'm not even kidding. This might be the weirdest thing that I have ever confessed out loud, but I reread my own books because I love the stories that I have written, and they are what I want to read sometimes. So I use the excuse of I have a Candyland book club in my Facebook group. Every month I let them vote on a book from my backlist and we read it and we discuss it together. And it is so fun because I will reread my books and be like, I love this. So anyway, I wish that I had a romantasy idea because I love reading romantasy.
Yeah.
But I don't have the world building skills, at least not at this point in my life. So hats off to
I think you do have the world building skills. I just think that, and this is my problem because I do have fantasy ideas, and fantasy was my first love, but it's just the commitment. It's just going to take so much longer to write that book than any contemporary book because of the world building.
Says Giana, who
I know.
I don't know how all of your books are not super involved. Like every book that I have read of yours, I'm like, she had to have done a mountain of research to just.
But so then imagine me doing that for fantasy. Like it would just be that. It would be 10x. And already I can't write a book without doing romance. And you think, well, like, Giana, you don't need to, do any research for writing like I don't know, like just a sexy Hollywood romance. It's like, yeah, I read biographies of tons of actors and actresses and directors because I wanted to know,
I knew you did because you just fully immersed us in the world. Like I knew it comes across in your writing.
I need to. It's the learner in me, I think. And, we're going to bring up the Clifton Strengths Finder test at some point because that's 100%. Just, but my number one trait is context. So I need to know the history. I need to know the nitty gritty of everything to understand it. So fantasy is in the horizon for me. Like I would love to one day, but I don't know when I'm going to have the time to do that because I'm also in love with contemporary.
To read it. I want to write a psychological thriller more than I want to take my next breath. I have a couple of ideas like floating around in my notes on my phone where all of my books are born, but I need like the idea of my life to hit me because if I do psychological thriller, I want it to be so good that people are like, what the fuck, Kandi? Like I want them to be like, I can't believe this came out of that little blonde/redhead's brain. That's what I want to happen.
Well, and then do you have the fear? Because this is also a part of it for me is if you do divert to a different category, then do you feel like you might have to stay in that category for a while or you can't go back or that now you're juggling, multiple genres and that's a whole other beast?
Totally. I mean, I've thought about like if I do a psychological thriller, do I post it under a different name? Or like I have thought about posting short or like for myself, I would like to sometimes write like short, spicy little blips. Like I'm talking like 10 to 15K, just like a romp.
Like a vignette.
Between people. Yeah. Like a vignette. And I'm like, do I post that under my Kandi Steiner name because I have the reach and I want it to reach people? Or is that going to make them confused on what to expect from me? Do I make like a side name? I don't know.
My hot take on that is that I think a lot of people would say create a pseudonym, create a different pen name. I don't agree with that. I think that, and I think when people do that, they get
you're like,
really
that
thin.
shit.
Yeah, like especially because for you have a distinctive style. People know this is a Kandi Steiner book, and that's a good thing. I think that they would be willing to take a chance on you stylistically, but also because you've built a lot of trust with your existing readers, and then also you'd be able to, I think, nurture it more under your Kandi Steiner brand because it doesn't stretch you between these two different things, always having to do double the work, or I think it means that they both get diluted a little bit. And
You've got butterflies going in my tummy right now, just even thinking about just doing it. I used to post my Palm South University series as episodes every week, and it was just short little episodes. They grew over time, which was kind of tough, but I would post them like every Tuesday. We had a new episode drop. It was like watching a TV show, but in book form, and I miss it so much.
That used to be a thing though too, because C.D. Reese used to do that with her Songs of Submission series, and I read that as it came out. Like I always say, I'm your OG fan because I love her words so much, and I remember that episode, and it was something that people did, and now I guess with like Vella, which doesn't even exist anymore.
It doesn't. Shut down.
You know? Or like fan fiction websites is like really the only place where you see that anymore.
I know, but I just used to do an episode and I would price it at 99 cents, or it was in Kindle Unlimited. So if you already had KU, didn't even have to pay for it. You could just pop on. You have my wheels turning. By the time this episode comes out, I might be doing this. We'll see.
you know I'm going to stoke those flames. You know I'm going to be like, do it.
Please. Okay.
What are your hot takes?
Okay, so my mild is actually very mild. I just finished reading A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Badger. Oh, I'm going to mess this up. Hang on. I have to look this up real quick.
Okay.
Darcy Little Badger. So Darcy Little Badger, and it is a young adult book. It's Native American fiction, which I studied one of my minor studies in college was Native American fiction. I find it fascinating. I think it's beautiful. And it very much had that magic realism sort of vibe. It's, animal people and living in the dream world versus Earth, and they can travel back and forth and sort of what that looks like and how they interact with people from Earth and like their species on Earth dying could mean they die in the reflection world. Anyway, it is such a cool little and it's young adult. So it's not spicy or anything, but it was such a fun, delightful little read for me. So that's my mild.
I'm going to put that on my TBR. It sounds really good.
It was fun. It was really fun. Okay. My medium is that I am locked in to season 1 of The Last of Us with Jack. So I am loving it. So he watched the whole season without me, and I walked in at a zombie part and I was like, not for me. Enjoy that. And then I would walk in and out of the room sometimes when he was watching it, and I would catch sort of the character moments, and I was like, this is really interesting. So when season 2 was about to come out, he was like, I kind of want to do a rewatch, and I was like, I will watch it with you. And I'm so glad I did. I don't love the scary zombie parts, but it's not overwhelming the way I thought it was going to be. And I think the character growth and stories are just the episode between Frank and Bill.
The two men?
Bro.
Stop.
Bro.
I sobbed my eyes out. And so did my husband.
It was like a mini movie in that episode. It was a movie. It was cinematic, gorgeous, just...
I think that it's the top rated episode of a TV show ever. That episode. I mean, of course. And the acting is incredible. I sobbed my face off.
Absolutely incredible. And so I think that I was interested in the show, but that sold me on it. So yeah, so that's my mild.
Love that.
And then my high is kind of silly, but right now there's a trend on social media where everyone is making their Barbie doll packages. So they're putting a picture of them as the Barbie and then their little accessories that come with them. And I'm obsessed. I could not get enough of these. I'm just feed me more. I want all of them. Every time someone posts it, I'm liking it. I'm commenting on it. I'm searching out to see who else is making them. I actually haven't posted mine yet. I posted one for the Kings of the Ice series as a joke, but I want to post mine next. But I think it's so fun, and I love when they're who was it? I think it was, was it Glab? There was somebody who posted golden retriever husband not included or sold separately or something, and I was
I love that.
Give it to me. I love
it. They
it.
are so creative. I just love all the trends because
me too.
It's who comes up with these? These are absolutely so creative and just such a fun little burst of creativity to make them.
Yes, and when you were we're constantly thinking of content, right? For our books and life and all the things. So when somebody gives me something that I'm excited about, that I'm I don't have to think about what to post today because I'm going to do the where my lore started trend.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is nice because, it's a big burden to create content at the rate that you kind of feel that you should. And so any trend that comes your way, you're yeah, I'll do this one. And it's great when they really resonate. And this one's just so cute.
It's so cute and so fun. I want to do, I have some made that I'll probably never post, but I just made them for me because they're fun.
I love that. Well, you're creative because you make them yourself. I have to get my assistants to make them for me.
I get help too. I do have help. So I have my executive assistant, Tina, who I love. And if you're on my ARC team, she runs the show in there. And then Isabella, Mech Spells, she does a little bit of social media for me too.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so it's really fun. I feel like that helps because then I can sort of do the things that I'm passionate about, and then I also have ideas coming from other people. But I used to do it all on my own, until I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I was like, I need a little help because the last thing I feel like doing is getting on camera and talking right now when I want to
Are
vomit.
you serious that you did all of it by yourself until you got pregnant? That was
Yes.
like, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Last November.
Oh my gosh. I mean, to be fair, I had an assistant. I guess I did all my own social media too. I don't know why I did too until about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, I guess the same. But I feel like also the burden of social media, and I say that like it seems like it's a negative thing. It's not, but just there's so many different outlets for social media, and there's so many things you have to be doing on it that it just I think it's overwhelming for anyone really to try and do
100%.
all of it yourself.
Not just us. I mean, readers, like influencers, bloggers, everyone feels it because we all want to be a part of the space, right? And we want to, be a part of the conversation and be contributing. But it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Threads, it's Facebook. It's, I had a Discord for a while and I've fallen off.
Threads scares me. Just because
Don't be scared of Threads.
Just because I'm such a positive Polly. Sure. And so and then the snippets, they're trying to get me because they're all negative. I know that it's to try to get me to join.
Bait.
But it has the opposite effect for me. It's like, oh no, I don't want to be there. Everyone seems so angry.
There are a lot of angry and like hot takes. I have learned like I don't need like once I start to see that it's negative, I just keep scrolling because if you just pause, like even if you read it or read the comments, it hooks you. Threads is like, here, we'll give you more content like this. And I'm like, please don't. So I'm in a really cute, cozy corner of Threads right now where it's like mostly books and mom stuff, which I don't really love mom content in most places, but I really like it on Threads and Reddit because I feel like it's real. It's like people actually asking questions and giving real advice and not being super judgy, although that does happen sometimes. But anyway.
I go to Reddit for my book suggestions sometimes. Yes! Just because I feel like it is really real and you can find really random, like non-popular books. For example, I read too much romance, so sometimes I'm like, are there even any that I haven't read? And then I go to Reddit and they're like, yes, this one. And I'm like, wow, amazing.
I am such a lurker on Reddit. I have never, I think I've posted like one comment, but I will lurk, like I will search Kandi Steiner on Reddit and like lurk to see what people are saying about my books.
Oh my God,
and stuff.
I could never.
Oh, I think it's so fun. I think it's so fun. I popped in one time because there was a thread where someone said, I want to read her Red Zone Rival series, but the team's name are the Rebels. And they were like, I'm from the South, so I'm assuming that means that she is like racist and yada yada. And I was like, oh no, like that is untrue. So I just popped in and was like, hey, I'm not trying to invade this reader space. I just wanted to let you know that the Rebels is named because they're in New England, and back in the day the Rebels were the Americans, right? Like breaking from England. So that is why they are named the Rebels and have like the canon and yada yada. And they were like, oh great, I'll go read them now. And I was like, awesome. And I think that's the only thing I've ever commented.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting because I, of course, now that you've mentioned it, okay, I can take pause, but I would never have worried about the connotation of Rebels before that. Yeah, totally. That's something that, again, you learn something new every day, like that and at the end of the day, also, anything can be triggering for anyone, of course. But it is one of the things that we always have to have our finger on the pulse of that in this industry as well.
Sure. And I want to listen, like, and in that case, I just wanted to clarify, like, hey, just so you know, this is where
this is where it came from, not this. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of background, okay, I want to get into it. So, all right, you talked about you published your first book in 2016, but were you a writer before that? Like, how did you find out this was your calling? What were you did you work in 2016? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah. So I basically have been writing almost every day since I was 8. And it was I still remember this so vividly. It was my 4th grade class, and our student teacher came in and did a Halloween creative writing project. It was the first time I'd ever done a creative writing project. And she gave us this poster board in the shape of a giant pumpkin, and you wrote your story in the giant pumpkin. And I wrote about, I don't know if you can tell, but I have this like red birthmark that sort of is 2 red dots. And so when I was younger, I was like, it's a vampire bite. And so I wrote this story
That's so cute.
about on Halloween, my friends and I went into this haunted house, and we blacked out in the haunted house, and we came to and we were all in our own beds the next morning, but we'd all been turned into supernatural creatures, and I was a vampire.
I love this.
I know. That was my first ever creative short story, and I was obsessed. Like, that that one project changed my life. I could not stop writing. And so
this is why teachers are so important, and I fully believe they should be paid 4 times what they are. Like
100%. Like, I don't know how teachers are not paid just so much more, given that they literally craft young minds and our next generation. It's
also
absurd.
Free childcare. Like up until like your kid is a nightmare for like most of the day, and these wonderful teachers are taking care of your child, making sure they're fed and going to the bathroom and like have a well-being, and then also teaching them about life and the world and history and art. Like that was your introduction to something that became your whole life. How cool is that? It's
so cool. And I still have letters. So after she left, I continued to write to her for a number of years. Shout out to Miss Standish, wherever she is. And I still have the letters that we would write to each other, and she would encourage me to be a writer when I was older. And so I always really wanted to be a writer, but I was raised by a single working mom. And my dad had left us when I was just like a few months old in a really bad financial position. And so all growing up, my mom ended up being super successful, and she's just such an inspiration to me. But she was super pragmatic. Like, no, you cannot be a writer. When I was young, she told me that I should want to be an orthodontist because orthodontists made a lot of money. So when people would ask me, I would tell them, I want to be an orthodontist, but I'll write on the side. And so growing up, I would always say that, like, I'll write on the side, or like secretly I want to be a writer. But it was never something I actually thought I could do.
We have like mirrored, this is so crazy. So just real quick, I want to chime in here. Yeah. So I fell in love with writing from a teacher who introduced me to the Harry Potter books, and I devoured the first 2, I think were out, loved them. And I told my mom at the time, I was like, I want to be the next J.K. Rowling, right? My mom, also single mom, fighting to make ends meet, like we're living on scraps, right? And she is also pragmatic. So as I grow, I keep saying, I want to be a writer. I want to be a writer. And come high school, when it's like legit, she's like, you might want to think about majoring in something that will make money, and writing might be something you do for fun. Not in a mean way, but just in like a protective, like you need to take care of yourself sort of way. And so I told everybody I was going to be an anesthesiologist for like a hot second. And then I changed. I eventually said, okay, I'll go into advertising and PR, but I double majored in creative writing because I was like, writing is still important to me. Anyway, sorry, continue. But how crazy is that?
There's so much, and it continues because, so I did go to college. I did my undergrad in English and history, not creative writing. I took a couple creative writing classes, and then actually, I was supposed to go to law school, and my mom was obsessed with me being a lawyer from a young age. After the orthodontist, it was right into lawyer. And I think it was because she really wished that she'd become a lawyer. So there was some of that component to it. And I was supposed to go. My mom also had been really sick. So I was supposed to go. My mom got really sick. I ended up not being able to go to the law. I was supposed to go to law school across the country. I had to stay at home to take care of her. And just for myself, just to see if I could do it, I had applied to my local university to their creative writing master's program, just to see if I could do it, like get in, but just for myself,
Sure.
And I got in. And then when I was supposed to stay and take care of her, I was like, well, what if I just do this for a year? I don't even have to do the full program, but I'll just do it for a year.
Why not?
Just for fun, because I'm here, and it will kind of help me get out of this like caretaker, it'll give me some fun. And then the year passed, and my mom was like, hey, you got to go to law school again. And I was like, well, now I should just finish the program, right? Like now I should finish it, right? So it's a 2-year program. Exactly. So then I finished it, and then she was like, okay, now you have to go to law school. And I was like, okay, but what if I move to Europe and I see if I can make writing work for 1 year, and then I'll go to law school. And so then I moved to Europe, and I was food writing, like being a food journalist, as well as writing romance novels at the time, to see which one, kind of throwing past at the wall to see what stuck.
Sure.
I really do believe that there's no room for intellectual snobbery in wanting to actually make a living as an artist. Like, in order to make money, you have to do whatever you can within the realm of your art to make that work. And yes, you can have your passion projects, and yes, you can, once you're established, move into something that's more meaningful to you. But I do think if you actually want that to be your job, you have to have a different mentality than if you want it to be your hobby. And so at this 100%. Point, I was like, it needs to be my job. I'm going to try these 2 prongs and see which one works. And I set myself a financial threshold. If I made X amount of money, I think it was like not aggressive amount. I think it was like $50,000. If I made $50,000 by the end of the year, then I could be a writer. And when I was living in Europe, I wrote and published Lessons in Corruption and Welcome to the Dark Side. And Welcome to the Dark Side was like a top 40 bestseller on Amazon. And I was able to be a writer when I came home. And so that was like my kind of journey, as in, you know, never really thinking that it could be possible, but just unable to give up on that dream for myself. Like I knew that if I didn't give it a shot, I would regret it forever, and that no one else could take that shot for me. I could always fall back on something that was more practical, but if I didn't at least try, then I would regret it for the rest of my life.
I'm obsessed with the fact that you like dug your heels in on this. Like you were like, I'm doing this, even when you had outside voices, very pragmatic outside voices, telling you things that are not lies, right? Like it is true. It's hard to make money as a creative in any aspect, but the fact that you felt with such conviction that you could do it and you went for it is amazing.
And you know, I didn't have like really any positive voice about it. Like I remember when I sent out queries, you know, as one did back then, a lot more than they do now, I think, to agents and stuff. And I remember I got some feedback like, you know, your writing voice isn't marketable. And I was like, dang, well, what am I going to do? Because this is how I write. And then to get that negative feedback, you know, no one picked me up. My mother was very against me being a writer. And I remember I told my now husband, but he was just my friend at the time, hey, what do you think about me maybe being a writer? And he said, yeah, you know, do whatever you love. And I said, well, what if I don't make very much money? And he said, yeah, well, writers aren't really known for that. So, you know,
like, let me
be
be
realistic. Yeah, like be realistic. But I would, of course, I'd support you. And I think that's great for you. And I mean, that was probably one of the only pieces of positive feedback that I got. But I think that I felt so passionate about it that it was almost like I had a madness in me, and I had to see if I could do something tangible with it and exhaust all avenues before I gave up and like lived my life.
That just made my stomach tighten because I remember that feeling. Not that like, yes, that hunger lives in you forever and we're hungry for different things now, but when you're working full time or doing another job to make ends meet and you are on the side and in all the extra hours of your life chasing this dream to make it happen, there's nothing like that feeling. Like, yes, it's exhausting. Yes, it's challenging, but it is so life affirming. Like to me, that was life. That was proof that I cared, that I had passion about something, that I cared enough to like give everything that I had and chase whatever the dream was, right? And I'm obsessed with that feeling, whether it's love, right? That's why I love to write about love, because it's an obsession. It's the kind of emotion that you can't mirror in any other way in your life. When you are falling in love with someone, or if you're in a toxic, obsessed, like, you know, like mind game sort of relationship with someone, there's nothing like that feeling in the world. So I just love that you chased it. And I mean, obviously I love your book, so I'm really glad that you made it too.
Me too. And it brought me here to you today. So tell me more about yours.
Yeah, so mirrored like pretty much all through college, I think. And then, so I double majored and I got a job in the advertising / PR world. I was working full time at the corporate office for Publix, which is a huge supermarket chain down in the South. And I worked at Publix when I was 16, starting when I was 16, like as a clerk, and then I kind of moved my way up to various positions. So when the corporate job opened up, it was like, okay, great. This is a wonderful step for me. So I actually helped grow their first social media team. Like I got them on Instagram, got them on Twitter. I was part of the team that did everything for them. We reached like a million followers on Facebook, I remember, and it was like this huge deal. So yeah, so
That's very cool.
It was a fun job, and I got to flex my writing muscles, right, which was really cool. Now that I am very far removed from that job, I can be more honest about some things. And so there was actually a time when I was working as a social media specialist where we had hours from 8 to 8, and so I had to be like online answering questions. So if somebody popped on Publix's Facebook and was like, I can't find turkey at my store, I would be like, hi, Susan, let me look into that for you, or whatever. Anyway, so customer service with a smile. But you're in the office until 8 p.m. Everybody else leaves at 5, and it's just you, typically, maybe one other person. And we didn't have a whole lot of action most of the time. So that is when I first was like, well, I have this free time and I'm sitting here. Let me just like start writing this book that I have in my brain. it started for fun. And then I remember being in line with one of my friends to see the last Twilight movie. Like, this was back when you had to wait in line for hours to get your spot to the movie. And I told her I was writing this book, and I was like, my goal is to publish it by my 24th birthday. And I did. I published it on my 24th birthday.
Oh, I love that.
I think I made
I
like
was
$7.
24 when I published my first book as well.
Look at us.
Look at us mirroring each other.
We're like twin flames.
100%. 100%. That is so cool.
So, yeah, my first book was Tag Chaser. It's terrible. I tell everybody don't read it, but if you want to see how far my writing has come, you can.
I actually do want to read it because I haven't read that one.
Oh my gosh. It's like I had a friend edit it. Like, it was not a professional editor. A friend took a picture of another friend wearing like my then husband's army, like ACU hat or whatever, and his dog tags. And I published it. Like, I designed the cover in, not even in Photoshop. I think at the time I only knew InDesign. So I just like finagled it in InDesign. When I say there were no resources, guys, I mean it. Like, I was just out there doing whatever I could to make it happen. So, but you know what? I don't regret it. I think, the start of every journey is so important. And that was the start of mine. And I was just this hungry kid who wanted to make things happen. And I published a few after that. I published Song Chaser and Black Number 4. Black Number 4 was the one that got me a little bit of traction. Suddenly,
I read that one.
People... Thank you. Some people were listening. That was in 2015, and like, it wasn't I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I even made a marginal amount. Like, I think in the first month that it was published, I made like $500, and I was over the moon. I was like, I made $500. I can't believe I made $500. This is incredible. Yes. Yeah. And then my sixth book was Weightless, and that was in the summer of 2016. And when I started writing it, I had like a breakdown because I was like, I'm not smart enough to write this book. I have this idea, but I don't feel like I can do it. I can't execute it. And Stacey Hart, who is still to this day one of my best friends, she took me by the hand and was like, you can do this. I will help you. And she gave me such hard feedback, like critical feedback, that 100% made me a better writer. After I cried, got defensive, told her to go fuck herself, and then was like, wait a second. No, she's right. And
but that's part of the process too, right? Is like, as having all those emotions when you get that critical feedback from your book of like, this is my baby, how dare you? And 100%. Then realizing that it can't be your baby the way your actual baby would be, because you need that feedback to grow.
What's the expression? You have to be ready to kill your darlings, right? Your little darlings. Yeah. And so, but she helped me make it so much better, and I was so proud of it. And I remember when the cover came out, this again, back in the day, cover reveals were very telling, and it was blowing up on Goodreads. People were adding it to their shelf. That was like, we didn't do long pre-orders, or at least I didn't back in the day. So people adding it to their Goodreads shelf was a huge tell that like this was going to be different. And then also big back then were Facebook bloggers, and Angie from Angie's Dreamy Reads reached out to me and was like, I would like an arc of Weightless. And I screamed and cried and died, and then I sent it to her. She loved it, and that, I think, changed the trajectory. So that was my first bestseller. I think I hit like 22 or 23 on Amazon. And it's crazy because while I was having this breakout success, my marriage was imploding. So personally, like, my personal life was a freaking dumpster fire. And then I was simultaneously having like this career breakout, and like, where you say, your man was like so supportive and just like, like, don't expect to make a lot of money, but like, I'm here for you. And then like always was there. I had a lot of negative talk in my ear. And I remember when the cover reveal happened, and I was so excited, and I was like, what if I could do this? Like I said to my ex at the time, or my ex, I was like, what if I could do this? What if I could actually make a career off of this? And he said, well, I would like to be a professional basketball player, but like, let's be real. And I knew, like, that was one of the defining moments that will stay with me forever, where I was like, okay, this is not my person. Like, this is not my person. So anyway, that was my first bestseller, and that was in 2016. And like, here we are, almost, I mean, it's been 11 years for me in the industry now, and almost 10 for you. 10 next year for you.
Yeah. No, it's crazy that how time flies and how much has changed. And I just want to say too on that, it is so interesting how different your career can feel to your personal life, and what's going on in your personal life, the highs and lows there versus what's going on in your professional life. And I think also the strange thing about being in this industry, the romance industry, is that you're very accessible to your readers. And we do that intentionally, and we also do that not intentionally, I think, in lots of ways. But regardless, it can be really tough when you're having those personal difficulties, especially when your career's going well and you have lots of highs, to kind of know how you even feel inside, let alone how to explain that to your readers, to your friends. And I think also because it's such a specific job with a very strange atmosphere and environment, that to explain it to someone who is not involved in it can be really difficult. And so if you have a partner who isn't even trying to understand what it could be like for you, I think that would feel so isolating. Because
terrible.
it's already kind of isolating just to you're not like, oh, I write romance novels and people instantly understand what that means, how much work it is. They think, oh, you write a book and you send it off to a publisher and that's it. They don't get it. And for your partner to, not support you and not get that, I mean, that makes me feel sad because...
It was bad. It was a bad time. It was a bad time.
Yeah.
Personally, I remember so when Weightless hit top 100, he came home on his lunch break and I was like, obviously over the moon and dying, like, look at what's happening. And he was like, oh, cool. And then he went upstairs and smoked a blunt and went back to work. And I was like, I mean, I'm telling you, I will say, I still love him to this day and hope he is doing well, in the sense that, like, I hope he is not angry anymore with the world and with other, I hope he's done whatever he's needed to do, therapy or inner work, to, like, be happy in his life. I don't regret everything that happened with us. Like, we had a great relationship in many ways, but, like, for the most part, we were not meant to be. And it was a very toxic, like, terrible situation. So now that I'm in a very healthy, loving marriage, I'm like, I can't even believe I put up with the stuff that I did. Like, it feels like another person lived that life. But it's weird because the juxtaposition was that my career was taking off. So I loved going to book signings because I got to be around all these people who were like, I read your book and I loved your book and I'm hanging out with authors. And it just felt so freeing. And then I would be on the plane to go home and I would be, like, sick to my stomach about going home. It's just crazy.
And that it is a weird thing to have that, because it does almost feel like it's a different level, or it can be so separate from your other life. You go to these signings, and you have these friends, like deep friendships, like ours, for example, where we're such good friends, but we don't live close to each other. We don't just go for coffee down the road. Like, we live like on other ends of, like, North America from each other, basically. And so it is such a strange, again, like, almost a parallel universe where it can feel really good or really bad and have almost, like, no bearing on each other, your personal life and your career. It's such a strange
100%.
thing.
I've only had one time in the 11 years where they've sort of, like, both lined up, and I call this, I knew it when I was in it. I remember writing in my journals and being like, I am in a magical season of life. I realize this is temporary. I realize it will, because it was like 2022 to, like, end of 2023, like, those 2 years of my life, because I got engaged. Blindside, like, blew up because of TikTok. The Wrong Game and A Love Letter to Whiskey were reborn because of TikTok. It's like they weren't new books, but they were finding new readers. So my career is going off. My love life is going off. I'm feeling, I also was in, like, the best shape of my life, like, mentally and physically. Like, I was feeling strong. I was doing all the things I wanted to do in pole dance. Like, that time of my life was truly, like, a magical season. And this is what I love about going through adversity or, like, experiencing really shitty times, is when life gives you that. I was so present. I was so locked. I was like, I realize this is a gift. Like, I am locked in. I am experiencing every little bit of this. I know it's not going to stay like this forever. So I'm just going to soak it in. And it was so nice to, like, live in that. But I had also been through, and I'm curious to hear if this is the same for you. My trajectory in my career has not been up. It has been, like, up, down a little bit, up, down a little bit, up, down a little bit, like a roller coaster. And I think it has prepared me to like be consistent over the years because I have had those dips where like a release doesn't do well or people aren't talking about me or reading my books anymore, and I survive it and I come out on the other side, and then I realize like 4 or 5 books later that something magical happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, it doesn't have to always be the next one is better than the last one. It can be an up and down, and some books are going to hit and other books are not, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think for me, it's strange. I should say that because, well, first of all, I had that period of time where like my social media was gone. So that was like a year and a half.
That was wild.
Yeah. So one day I was just on social media and someone,
Tell our listeners
my friend,
what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So my friend sent me a message while I was on Facebook, and she was like, hey, Giana, is this you? And I was like, hi, yeah, what's up? And she was like, someone just posted pornography on your profile. And I was like, what? And I went, and someone had posted pornography on my Facebook profile. And literally I went to the page, I saw it for 1 second, and then Facebook disappeared. And essentially what happened was, I guess these scammers, they will post pornography because it will lock down your accounts. So Facebook and Instagram are connected. So it locked down both of those, but it doesn't lock down your ads account. So what they do is you can't get into your Facebook and Instagram anymore, but they're already in it and they can get into your ads account, and then they'll spend all your money.
No.
So that's the trick, I guess, that they do. So that's what happened to me. And the crazy thing is Facebook doesn't have like a help system. There's not just someone you can reach out to help. So the only reason, it's absolutely terrible. And I feel so badly when people say that they're going through this. And I was so grateful because of my friends and different connections, people were like, well, I couldn't really talk to that many people because most people in this industry, I just would talk to through socials.
Right.
You don't share your
DMs.
number.
Sure.
Yeah. You don't share your number with everyone. So I had like my assistant post like, hey, like Giana's socials are gone. And I mean, it was just my Instagram and my Facebook, but at this time that was really all I was using. I sort of had used TikTok. It was kind of the beginning of it really being a thing. But so she posted for me and that in my group, and I sent out a newsletter, and I thought it was going to be like a day or something. And happily I had someone through my ads account that you can talk to. So I was emailing this person, and they were working with me to try and get everything fixed. And they kind of kept me like with a carrot on a string, like, oh yeah, just do this, and then next week it'll be better, or I'll get back to you. And then weeks would pass and they wouldn't get back to me. And then finally he just stopped responding to me.
Oh, great.
And that
Love
was
that for you.
Yeah, that was after like 6 months. And because I had tried to create a new account, and then my new account got flagged as a scam account because my accounts had been flagged. So it was just this whole rigmarole. And, I obviously paused my releases because you don't really want to release without having, any ads or promo on those things. And then kind of at the same time too, in my personal life, I like had developed, well, I don't know if I developed, but we discovered that I had this like heart condition. So I was dealing with this and I remember telling you about this, like trying to figure out what was going on. And that was really scary. So this, like everything was really crap. We're talking about how, sometimes they're not in sync, it was in sync in a bad way. Obviously. And I would wake up for the first 6 months, I would wake up every day feeling so sick, like physically ill, like I was going to vomit because I thought, well, this is the end of my career that I've worked so hard for. My dream's over. It's done. I don't know what I'm going to do. And just feeling so helpless. And you know this about me, but I'm someone who likes to take action and have a plan and get things done. And so it was really hard feeling kind of helpless. So that sucked. And then I think with the health stuff, it really made me take a step back and be like, hey, my life is important and I'm alive and I need to be grateful for, everything around me. And I really think that changed my mentality. And I was like, okay, if I never get Facebook and Instagram back, I will figure it out. Like everything's going to be okay. And I actually wrote 6 books while I was away.
Dude, so I remember when you told me this and I was like, what? Because I just assumed that between the health and the career situation that was happening, that you were just like blocked. I was like, for sure,
but
she's
I feel
blocked.
like you get this, I'm sure. Like it was my saving grace. Like writing was what made me feel connected to my dream still. It's what helped me work through a lot of those emotions or escape those emotions. And so that was really wonderful. It was a really great creative period for me. And then I came back, like, randomly one day, it came back.
Wow.
And it was, well, I shouldn't say randomly, but I had started like another page and spent some money on it to get another ads rep to talk to be like, hey, like, I need your help.
Help me. Yeah.
Can you please help me? And then a friend of mine, her friend worked at Facebook. And so she actually like figured things out for me. So I was so lucky, because I think most people, it's just like, you probably almost would have had to start.
This happens so often. Like, authors get kicked out of their ads account, or their ads accounts get shut down, or their Facebook gets hacked. Like, there's so many times where this happens, and there's just no one you can go to. You might reach out to that annoying guy who is calling you 40 times trying to like talk to you about ad stuff, and then they actually can't help you in any like meaningful way. I remember an ads rep calling me shortly after what happened to you and was like, is there anything I can do to like help you? And I was like, yeah, can you be a contact for me if I mistakenly get shut down? Because it's happening left and right. It's so scary. I'm just glad. I mean, thank goodness you knew somebody, but also that you had the endurance and the like willpower to get the perseverance. That's a better word, to push through a really tough time, like mentally, physically, health wise, and in your career. I don't know, that to me, that's adversity. Like, if we were doing college essays, girl, you'd have quite the essay.
I would have quite the essay. I mean, I think that one of the great things is, like, I'd already had adversity in my life. You know, my mom was really sick for a really long time. I lost my dad when I was 18. I'd had these things. So when this happened too, it was like, you know, for a minute you think the sky is falling, but then you're like, okay, even if the sky is falling, you know, I have to hold close what is good in my life, and I have to feel grateful for what I have. And that's a practice that I just really feel strongly about. I think that makes a difference. I want to make that choice every day, even when it's really hard and I'm like scraping the bottom of the barrel. And that's what helps me like maintain my love for this job, for my friends and family. It's what makes me like a person that I think people want to spend time around. Not that I don't ever feel angry or sad or despairing, but just that I think that is kind of a key. And I will say, I think that that's impacted my career in a really positive way, and that I've always been really positive and really kind with my readers. And there were some really mean readers, don't get me wrong, when I was away, being like, I don't even know what they thought, like as if I just wanted that to happen to me or whatever. People got really angry, but there were a lot of people that were really sweet, and they would email me because that was the only way they could reach out, being like, hey, I hope you're doing well. I miss you. I love your books. Like, and when I came back, being super awesome. And I was still going to signings during that time.
Dude, I was going to say, your signing line never wavered. Your lines were out the door, around, like, you had to stay late to keep signing. Like, your fans continued to show up. They were like, we don't care about Facebook and Instagram. Like, we still love you.
They were, I mean, I think they're the best. But I also think that it's that, and you do this too, of like, we are so grateful for our readers. And I think we make that known a lot, that there is this kind of
I think I'm annoying with it sometimes. I'm like, let me tell you again how much you mean to me. And they're like, yeah, we get it, Kandi. Here's your another.
It's not annoying. Because imagine, like, I imagine this, you know, someone that like I really admire and I love their art, taking the time to be like, hey, I'm grateful for you. Yeah. Like, that is a very special thing, especially if your work has impacted their lives, as our work can impact people's lives and emotional states.
When I get a message that is like heartfelt, and like someone took their time to write and tell me something that they loved about my book, or something that resonated with them on social, I'm like, I can't believe I get to connect with another human being like this. Like, this is why we love to write, right? Like, at the end of the day, yes, of course we want to make money and have a career for sure. But this art is art at the end of the day. It's a part of us, and it's the way that we tell our story, that we voice what's in our hearts and our minds, and we share that with others and connect with others. And it's like, to me, that is success. Like, if one person messages me and says, I read your book and it meant something, huge success.
And I completely agree with that. And I've actually talked before with like my agent. She's like, okay, what is success to you? You know, is it if you get a movie deal? Is it this? Is that? And I was like, oh, it's nothing so tangible as that. Like, I basically want people to love my books. And to me, like the more people that read and love my books, that's success to me. Not that it comes with a dollar sign, not that it translates into, and of course, all those things are wonderful. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
Like, but just that
we're still
idea
attracting that universe.
yeah, like just so you know, we're open
still
to
love
it.
those things too.
Yeah, but it is the kind of the fuel for it is that people can love your words and feel like they resonate with them. And I was just talking with a friend yesterday actually about the parasocial thing, and he was like, oh, that must make you feel so good that they think that you're cool or whatever. And I was like, oh, that has no bearing on anything. What does is that they will be like, hey, I read this and it meant something to me, or I loved it. And then you're like, wow, that's so cool. That's when you geek out on yourself, I think, is when your words
100%. Oh my gosh, it's the best feeling in the world. And I feel like this is a great place to stop this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Just so you know, listener, we could go for 3 hours and probably still not be tired of talking to each other, which is why we started a podcast.
This is why we're doing this.
Right. But okay, before we go, so we have like a fun little segment that we want to end with, and it's green flag, red flag. So I'm going to bring the subject matter this week, Giana. I'm going to pose a question to you, and I want to know, would this be a red flag or a green flag, both in a book you're reading or like a book you're writing, so fiction, but also in real life? Okay. So the behavior in question is extreme jealousy. So like possessive, you can't talk to that other man, he cannot touch you, I'm gonna fight him, like that kind of possessive jealousy. Is it a red flag or is it a green flag in books and in real life?
Okay, now I will be so curious what you think, because my answers are wildly different for book boyfriend and real life boyfriend. Book boyfriend, hells yeah to the over possessive, jealous vibes. Like, it's hot. I want him to fight someone for trying to dance with me on the dance floor.
Bro,
I want
crash
him,
a date.
Like,
crash my date and drag me out. Yes.
Yeah.
In a book.
Like,
in a book.
Like, literally take me over your shoulder and take me out of there. Let's go. Oh, all the fanning, all of the heat.
Bite my neck and say that I'm yours. Like, yes, please.
And like, mark me before I go on the date so he knows. Whatever it is. Like, that is so hot.
So hot.
And it just gets me there. It's the primal, like, he can't even help himself sort of vibes that I love in a book boyfriend.
Like, he is unhinged for you? Yes, please.
Like, I want him to feel that madness. We talked kind of a little bit about madness earlier. I want him to feel mad for me. Like, that it's almost, it's obsessive, compulsive, whatever. In real life, I have to say, it's 100% a red flag.
Absolutely. 100%.
Just like 100%.
Could not be a bigger turnoff.
I think it's just not it. Like, it's really... I get the ick. That's what it is. It's the opposite of the heat and loveliness of the book boyfriend. Real life boyfriend, major ick.
Yeah.
I just think it's...
To me, that tells me you're a little boy. Like, you are insecure. You don't trust me. And also, you're going to try to control me, which absolutely not.
Small man syndrome in lots of ways.
Small man syndrome. 100%.
And I don't like that. And I think that also for me, I'm not a jealous person. And I really, like, I've talked to friends about it before. They're like, I really would love it if you wrote, like, a woman who's really jealous. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. I've actually had a lot of people ask me to do that. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. I don't know if I would do that good a job at it. Maybe I could, but for me, I feel so much more comfortable believing in my relationship and in my own worth. And I'm so much happier not giving that mental space to like anxiety and jealousy that I almost don't even want to enter into it fictionally. I just think like I'm happy the way that I am. So if for him to feel like he has to worry, I
was just going to say, we're aligned in like the red flag, green flag part of this. But I think that is where I differ from you a little bit. Okay. Because in my real life, like obviously I'm not jealous at all. And especially because I'm in a healthy relationship now. However, in my younger years, I played some toxic games. And I sometimes miss the feeling that came with being in those sort of like not healthy situations, because it's your stomach is in knots. You are like completely obsessed and like you're trying to play this game that you don't even know the rules to. So sometimes when I write, I love to write like a jealousy
You do a good job with those too.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it so much. And like, I want the jealousy to make them have unhinged behavior, which is a big reason why I think some people, like, you either love or you hate A Love Letter to Whiskey, because they do unhinged shit and they hurt
but
other
I
people.
love that in a book.
Right, because they're
that.
so mad for each other that they can't help it. They're like, I
So
realize
messy.
I'm being so messy, but I can't help it.
Yeah. I do think, because it brings such high angst and such high drama, which we love. So like A Love Letter to Whiskey, like I still remember like where I was reading that book, because that feeling in your chest of just like acid being poured into your chest, and like, and your tummy is twisted and you're just like, oh my God, like this is so good. That in a book, like, sign me up every single day. I think it's why we like cheating romances as well. Like, you know, that is great. But in real life, and I will say when I was younger, I definitely feel like I had those instances too. And they definitely felt like high stakes and drama, and there was a certain
Total high
type of fun to them, for sure.
Yeah.
I just think that now, like, I think long term, this is obviously a much healthier way to be. And I think I actually burned out on that jealousy and on that, because it was like, okay, this is too much.
Yeah,
like, I can't maintain this.
I mean, you can't have, or at least in my experience, I could not have a productive, healthy life when I was in those sort of relationships, because they were all consuming, right? Like, exactly. I couldn't have professional success. I couldn't have like health success or any of that, because I was just completely consumed. So now I just like to write about it, and it's fun.
Yeah, because I think that feeling that we feel when we read them or we write them, having that feeling every day in your life, you're basically like paralyzed by it. You can't.
It's not sustainable.
You can't do anything. Like, you're just kind of stuck in that emotion, and it's not productive. It's not a productive thing. So in books, that's where we can get it.
Yes, 100%. And it is, I will say, it is harder for me to write now that I'm farther removed from it. So I have to really get in the zone of like, how did I feel? What would 22-year-old me have done in this situation?
Hey, at least 21, 22-year-old Kandi is informing your work now. Like, that's kind of great. That's the silver lining of the things that happened back then.
She is a legend. Okay. Okay. We have this really fun function where you can submit fan mail sounds weird. I don't know, a voice note question or a voice note comment to us. So if you listen to the podcast and you have thoughts, if you have questions for us about anything, writing, books, life, you can submit it to us. And the way you get access to that is actually through our Patreon. So if you want to support the podcast and you also want to send us a question or talk to us, head over to our Patreon, and we would love to have you there. It's Talk Spicy to Me. So we are on social media as well. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. So just come find us wherever you want to hang out. But if you want to send us a voice note, you can reach out to us on our Patreon. And there's a lot of other fun perks over there depending on what tier you're in. We love to have you. The names, I think, are so funny. Like, they go from cute. Like a bell pepper babe all the way up to a ghost pepper goddess, like,
or a habanero hottie.
A habanero hottie. So they're super fun. And obviously we would love you to just listen. You do not have to be on our Patreon at all, and we're going to love you just as hard. But there's lots of bonus content over there. You can also come into our Facebook group, which is limited access only for our Patreon users, and you'll get more of us if you want more of us. There's lots of us to give. So
lots of us.
Lots of us. But we do have our first little fan question here from our reader, Eileen. So let's go ahead and give that a listen.
Hi, ladies. Okay, so my question is, what are your favorite scenes to write? The soft, fluffy ones, the emotional scenes, or the spicy scenes?
Okay, that's a great question. So basically, I think what she's asking is, do we love to write the soft, emotional scenes more, the romantic scenes, or the spicy scenes more?
That's such a tough one, because I think it does depend on your mood at the time. It depends on the couple as well, I think. That's kind of, I don't know if you have a better answer where I try to think about being more definitive.
I am like so the opposite. Like, for me, the best scenes for me to write are not the romantic and emotional ones, nor are they the spicy ones. It's always the fight or the fuck it moment for me.
Love
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
I sit down to write the moment where everything blows up and I'm like,
you just
giddy.
wrote that the other day.
I did.
Yeah.
So I have a standalone coming out that I wrote, the like fuck it moment, and it's like they're in each other's faces and like, Oh my God, I love it. I live for that. I live for that. Not that I don't enjoy writing, you know, a spicy romance or a spicy romance, a spicy scene or a very emotional scene. I would say out of those two, if I had to choose, it's going to be the emotional one, because spice is fun, but I want to feel. And so I really want to like break my heart open, and whether that's a coming back together emotional scene or a, you know, breaking apart emotional scene, those are the ones that do it for me.
You know, I kind of am going to mirror you a little bit. Like, I love that. And I also love, as Sarah Simone would call it, the dark night of the soul. Like, when the worst thing has happened to these characters.
The all is lost moment, yes.
The all is lost moment. And you're like, you know, and I have that in a lot of my books. And I can think of each of them, and they play like a movie in my head. And I remember that feeling of writing them and just being so... It's like you've got the bit between your teeth and you're just charging ahead, and it feels so good. And I think that's the moment, that dark night of the soul, like the angst. It's the angsty part. It's the angst. I guess it's the angst. That's what we love. We're the angst queens. We love the angst.
We love the angst.
We love the angst. And so we're not even it's not any of those that she gave us.
Basically.
No. Yeah. It's the angst.
It's the angst. We want to be tortured just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This was so fun. First episode
So
in the
much
books.
fun.
And this is why we did this. Like, I already feel like soul affirming love just pouring through me like a little golden light,
too.
because
my cheeks hurt from smiling.
I know. I have like little red cheeks right now.
Yeah.
So we also are on YouTube. So if you are listening on Spotify or wherever you love to listen to podcasts, and you are like, I would love to see their faces and their hand gestures, because we do a lot of hand gestures. You can find us on YouTube as well. And if you're on our Patreon, you'll get early access to the YouTube episodes as they come out as well. So I think that's all that I have to share. Can you think of anything?
We did it. Done and dusted. Thanks for being with us for our first episode. I hope you guys are with us for the whole journey. We will have 10 episodes this season, and we hope that you enjoy them all. We also will have a few cheeky guests peppering this season. And the fun bit is there's surprise guests. So Kandi has 2 surprise guests, and I have 2 surprise guests, and there'll be a surprise for you as well, and we can't wait to share who they
are so happy. So thank you for listening. If you loved this, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating or a thumbs up, or whatever you're listening to us on. Let us know that you liked listening. You can find us on social, as well as the Talk Spicy to Me. You can also find us on social, Giana Darling and Kandi Steiner, and we're your hosts, and we're happy to be here.
Thanks for being with us today, guys.
Toodles.